Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers.
A classic.
It is, and you've given us some great resources, including that really helpful YouTube video summary.
Yeah.
Get ready to unpack what really makes these high achievers, well, outliers.
Mhm.
I think we all have this idea that it's all about talent or maybe just being a workaholic.
Right. You just got to, work harder than everyone else.
Exactly, but Gladwell challenges that, right?
He certainly does. What's fascinating about Outliers is that Gladwell throws a wrench into the whole pull yourself up by your bootstraps narrative.
Yeah.
He digs deep into the lives of extraordinarily successful people and highlights the often overlooked factors that contribute to their achievements.
It's kind of like that analogy from the video about the tallest tree in the forest.
Oh, love that one.
It's not just about having the best seed, right? It's about the soil, the sunlight, maybe even dodging a few storms.
Exactly.
So to become an outlier, are you saying you need a little bit of luck?
Luck definitely plays a role, but it's more nuanced than that.
Mm-hmm.
Gladwell argues that it's about a confluence of factors, many of which are outside of our control.
Okay.
He calls these hidden advantages
Hidden advantages.
and dives into how things like opportunity, cultural background, and even the timing of your birth can impact your trajectory.
So there's like destiny involved.
Not quite destiny, but these factors create a sort of playing field.
Okay, I see. So it's the setup.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's unpack this idea of hidden advantages. The book talks a lot about the 10,000 hour rule,
Right.
which the YouTube video also highlighted.
A very popular concept from the book.
It's basically the idea that it takes around 10,000 hours of dedicated practice to become world-class in any field.
To reach that level of mastery, yeah.
The examples of Bill Gates, Tiger Woods, and Mozart really bring this concept to life.
You see those names and you immediately think, talent, right?
Right, natural geniuses.
But what's interesting is that they all clocked in those hours before they achieved widespread recognition.
So it wasn't just like instant success because they were so gifted.
No, it was years of, well, really a decade or more of dedicated practice.
Right, it's not just about talent or even passion.
Yeah.
It's about putting in the time, and not just any kind of time, but what Gladwell calls deliberate practice.
Right. It's not just mindlessly going through the motions.
Yeah, it's got to be focused.
It's about focused, intentional effort, constantly seeking improvement.
So, like, always pushing yourself to get better.
Exactly.
Think about when you were learning a new skill, maybe playing an instrument or a sport.
Yeah.
You weren't just going through the motions, you were actively trying to get better, right?
Absolutely. Trying new things, figuring out what works, what doesn't.
Right, and failing a lot along the way.
So many mistakes. Yeah, but that's how you learn.
And 10,000 hours, while it sounds daunting, is actually achievable if you break it down.
That sounds like a lot, yeah.
It's about 4 hours a day for 10 years.
It's a commitment for sure.
So if there's something you're truly passionate about and you're willing to put in the work, maybe becoming an outlier isn't so far-fetched after all.
That's encouraging, right? It makes you think, well, maybe I could.
It does, but then there's that other piece.
Right.
Gladwell argues that even with deliberate practice, opportunity plays a huge role.
Opportunity is essential. Absolutely.
He uses the example of Bill Gates, someone we often think of as a self-made tech genius.
The classic example, right?
But when you dig deeper into his story, you see a series of lucky breaks that set him up for success.
Yeah, those lucky breaks are crucial.
Yeah, the YouTube video really broke this down well. Gates attending one of the first schools with a computer lab when computers were still a novelty.
Yeah, imagine having that kind of access back then.
That's incredible. And then his mother being on a fundraising committee that helped secure funding for that very lab.
It's almost like it was meant to be, right?
Plus, he had access to a university computer in his spare time.
So even outside of school, he had this incredible opportunity to learn and practice.
It's almost like the universe was conspiring to get him those 10,000 hours.
Exactly. Gladwell isn't saying that Gates isn't brilliant or hardworking.
Right. He's not taking anything away from his talent.
But he's highlighting how these seemingly random events, these opportunities that were simply a matter of being in the right place at the right time, played a significant role in Gates' journey.
So those opportunities, or maybe like coincidences, really shaped his path.
It really is a powerful illustration of how talent needs opportunity to truly flourish.
So it's not just about working hard.
It's in the whole story.
It's also about the opportunities that come your way, opportunities that you might not even be aware of or have any control over.
It's about being open to those opportunities, recognizing them when they appear.
That's interesting.
And this ties into another myth that Gladwell debunks.
Okay.
The idea that a high IQ is a guaranteed ticket to success.
Oh, yeah, that's a common one.
He points to research that shows that people with exceptionally high IQs don't automatically achieve greater success in life.
So it's not all about brains.
There's clearly something else at play here.
Right, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
We all probably know someone who is incredibly smart, but hasn't necessarily achieved what we might consider outlier success.
Exactly. Gladwell uses the example of chess grandmasters.
Oh, interesting.
Many of them have average or even below average IQs.
Wow, I wouldn't have guessed that.
What sets them apart is their relentless dedication to the game.
Uh-huh.
Their willingness to put in those thousands upon thousands of hours of practice and study.
So it's back to that dedication and practice.
It's another great example of how deliberate practice, combined with the right opportunities, can lead to extraordinary outcomes.
So while talent is important, it's not the only ingredient in the recipe for success.
It's just one piece of the puzzle.
And there's another layer to this that I find fascinating, and this is where things get a bit more complex.
Oh, okay, I'm intrigued.
Gladwell also explores the concept of cultural legacy.
Interesting.
And how it can impact our chances of becoming an outlier.
This is where Gladwell's ability to connect seemingly disparate ideas really shines.
Yeah, he's great at that.
He argues that our cultural background, the values and traditions we inherit, can significantly influence our approach to work, our persistence, even our problem-solving skills.
It's like our culture sets us up in a certain way.
Exactly. It shapes our mindset.
He specifically focuses on Asian cultures, right?
Yes. He looks at how certain cultural factors have contributed to their success in fields like mathematics.
The YouTube video talked about how the structure of the Chinese language and the demanding nature of rice cultivation have contributed to Asian proficiency in math.
It's fascinating, right?
That's pretty mind-blowing.
It really is.
So, like, the language itself could give you a head start in math.
Well, take the Chinese number system.
Okay.
It's simpler and more intuitive than many other number systems, which gives Chinese children a head start in understanding mathematical concepts.
Oh, I see.
It's like they're already on the path to those 10,000 hours of practice before they even realize it.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's subtle,
Yeah.
but it can have a huge impact over time.
And then there's rice farming.
Right, which has been central to many Asian cultures for centuries.
It's incredibly labor-intensive
Incredibly demanding.
and requires meticulous planning, attention to detail, and a whole lot of problem-solving.
You have to be very precise, very patient.
Gladwell argues that these qualities, honed over generations of rice cultivation, have instilled a work ethic and a problem-solving mindset that translate well to other fields, like mathematics.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
The skills you develop in one area can be applied to others.
So cultural legacy, like, literally shapes how we think and work.
It's fascinating, isn't it? He's not saying that all members of Asian cultures are destined to be mathematicians, of course.
Right, it's not about stereotypes.
It's about recognizing trends and influences.
But he's highlighting how these cultural legacies can create subtle advantages that, over time, can have a significant impact on individual achievement.
It's about understanding the context in which success happens.
That's a lot to think about.
It really is.
And we've barely scratched the surface here.
We've got a lot more to unpack.
We do, so let's dive into some more examples of these hidden advantages and how they play out in the lives of outliers.
Okay, sounds good. So one of the things that Gladwell dives into is this idea of timing.
Timing.
Yeah, like where you fall in history can actually play a huge role in achieving outlier success.
Okay, so now we're like talking about fate. Are you saying that like the year I was born could determine my destiny?
Well, not exactly destiny, but Gladwell makes this really compelling argument
Okay.
that being born at the right moment in the right context can open up these doors that just wouldn't exist at other times.
So like being born at the right time?
Exactly. He uses the example of the Canadian hockey system,
Oh, interesting.
where the cutoff date for youth leagues
Uh-huh.
gives a significant advantage to kids born earlier in the year.
Oh, so just because of when their birthday is?
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
So they're like bigger, stronger.
Well, they're not necessarily bigger or stronger, but they get more playing time, better coaching, and they're more likely to be seen as like top prospects.
So just by virtue of being like a few months older,
It can make a big difference.
they get this head start that can snowball into bigger and bigger opportunities.
Exactly.
This seems kind of unfair, doesn't it?
Well, it does highlight how even these seemingly arbitrary rules and systems
Yeah.
can have an outsized impact, especially when compounded over time.
Because then it just keeps building and building.
Exactly. Gladwell argues that these hidden advantages, often unintentional, can create a self-perpetuating cycle of success.
So it's not just about individual effort.
Not the whole story, no.
But also about being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And benefiting from systems that might tilt the scales in your favor.
Right, those systems matter a lot.
How does this, play out beyond the world of sports?
Well, Gladwell also applies this idea to the tech boom.
Okay.
Looking at the birth dates of many of the pioneers of the personal computer revolution.
It's like Bill Gates and...
Yes, people like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs.
Okay.
And what he found is that a significant number of them were born within a narrow window of time.
So not just a coincidence.
Right, it wasn't just random. They were coming of age just as the personal computer was emerging.
So they were there at the right time.
Yeah, which gave them this unique advantage.
So it's kind of like they were the right age.
Exactly.
To grab onto this new technology.
They were old enough to understand the technology and to contribute to its development, but young enough to be free of, the assumptions and limitations of previous generations.
So they weren't stuck in the old ways of thinking.
Exactly. They were digital natives before that term even existed.
Oh, that's a good point.
They weren't afraid to experiment, to push boundaries, because they didn't have preconceived notions of what was possible.
It reminds me of Bill Gates dropping out of Harvard to pursue his vision for Microsoft.
Right, it was a huge risk.
But it paid off.
They were in the right place at the right time to ride the wave of technological innovation.
That's wild. It makes you wonder how many potential outliers might be out there.
Yeah.
Their talents hidden simply because the timing wasn't right.
That's a thought-provoking idea.
But if we can't control our birth dates, or the systems we're born into, what's the takeaway here? Does this mean we're all just pawns of fate?
Not at all. I think Gladwell's point is not to make us feel powerless, but to encourage us to be more aware of the hidden advantages and disadvantages that shape our lives and the lives of others.
So it's about recognizing those opportunities that we might not even realize are there.
Being aware of the systems around us.
And working to dismantle those systemic barriers that hold people back.
Exactly. We can't control everything.
Right.
But we can work to create more equitable systems.
Yeah.
Where success is less dependent on chance and more accessible to everyone.
And even within those systems, individual effort still matters.
Absolutely.
He's not letting us off the hook entirely.
No, he's not.
Hard work and dedication are still crucial.
They're essential.
Even if we acknowledge the role of these external factors.
Gladwell emphasizes that understanding the role of these external factors doesn't diminish the importance of hard work.
Okay.
It simply provides a more nuanced and realistic view of how success is achieved.
So it's like adding more layers to the picture.
Exactly.
It's like that saying, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah, I love that quote.
We can't always control the opportunities, but we can control our preparation.
Absolutely.
So even if we're not born at the perfect moment or with every advantage, we can still stack the deck in our favor by working hard, developing our skills, and being ready to seize those opportunities when they arise.
Exactly. And perhaps even more importantly, Gladwell challenges us to rethink our definition of success altogether.
So it's not just about becoming the next Bill Gates or Mozart.
Right. There are other ways
to
live a meaningful and fulfilling life.
There are other ways to be successful.
Absolutely. He reminds us that success comes in many forms. And that true fulfillment often comes from pursuing our passions. Contributing to our communities. Making a positive impact on the world. Regardless of whether we achieve traditional outlier status.
I like that.
It's about aligning our efforts with our values. And finding joy in the journey, not just the destination.
That's a really powerful message, and I think it speaks to a lot of people who might feel discouraged by the traditional narrative of success.
It's not just about fame or fortune.
It's not about being a billionaire.
Exactly. It's about living a life that is true to yourself and making a difference in the world.
And it's a reminder that success doesn't happen in a vacuum.
Right.
We're all interconnected.
We are.
And our individual achievements are often built upon the contributions of others.
We stand on the shoulders of giants, as they say.
So it's about recognizing those who came before us.
Yes.
Those who paved the way.
Absolutely.
And using our own success to create opportunities for others.
I love that.
That's a really beautiful way to think about it.
It is.
And it circles back to that idea of cultural legacy, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We inherit not just traditions and values, but also the benefits of the hard work and sacrifices of those who came before us.
Like we're carrying their legacy forward.
It's a powerful reminder that we're all part of something larger than ourselves.
We are all connected in this web of human experience.
That's a great point.
I think that's one of the most important takeaways from Outliers.
It's not just about individual achievement.
No, it's about our shared humanity.
Yeah.
About how we're all connected and how we can all contribute to creating a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
It is, and I think it's something that we should all strive for.
Definitely. So let's wrap up this part of our discussion on a different note.
Okay.
There's this one more concept
from
Outliers that we haven't, talked about yet.
What is it?
And that's Gladwell's exploration of the Matthew effect.
Oh, the Matthew effect. Interesting.
Which, I think the simplest way to put it is that advantages tend to accumulate over time.
Wait, the rich get richer.
Exactly. And the poor get poorer, not just in terms of wealth, but also in terms of opportunities, recognition, and success.
It's a pretty sobering concept.
It is. It's like that snowball effect we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, the initial advantage keeps growing.
But on a much larger scale.
It plays out across society.
So it's a reminder that even small initial advantages can compound over time.
And lead to those disparities.
Leading to significant disparities in outcomes.
Right, it's not a level playing field.
It's a bit of a sobering thought, but also a call to action.
It is a call to action, yeah.
It challenges us to think critically about how we can disrupt these patterns.
Yeah.
And create a more equitable world where everyone has a fair shot at success.
We'll leave our listeners with that thought to ponder.
Yeah.
Go out there and be mindful of the Matthew effect.
Okay.
In your own lives and in the world around you.
Yeah.
And see what you can do to disrupt it.
That's a powerful challenge.
It is.
And a great way to wrap up, this part of our deep dive into Outliers.
It really makes you think.
It does. So much to consider.
Absolutely.
So thanks for joining us on this exploration of success, opportunity, and the factors that shape who we become.
It's been a pleasure.
It has. And be sure to tune in next time for another fascinating deep dive into a new topic that was seriously thought-provoking.
Yeah, right.
Outliers really gets you thinking about all those things that, go into success.
Yeah, and how much of it is actually within our control.
What stood out to you the most? What really stuck with you?
For me, it was Gladwell's emphasis on the role of opportunity.
Opportunity, yeah.
And how it interacts with talent.
Yeah, it's not enough to just be talented.
We often focus on the individual, right? Oh, they're so smart, so gifted.
Right, we put them on a pedestal.
But Outliers highlights the importance of context.
The context, yeah.
Of being in the right place at the right time.
Right place, right time.
And having access to the resources and support that allow potential to flourish.
So it's talent needs the right environment to grow.
Exactly. It's like a seed needing fertile soil.
That's a really important point, and it's easy to get caught up in that individualistic narrative of success.
Yeah, the whole self-made myth.
But we have to acknowledge the systemic factors that play a role.
Those systems are so important.
What about you? What resonated with you? For me, it was the power of cultural legacy.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
I've always been fascinated by how, our cultural background shapes our values and our worldview.
It's like the lens through which we see the world.
Exactly, and Gladwell's exploration of this theme really resonated with me.
Yeah, he does a great job of connecting the dots.
It's a reminder that diversity is not just a box to be checked.
Right, it's not just about representation.
It's a source of strength, innovation, and resilience.
It makes us stronger, more creative, more adaptable.
Beautifully said. And it's a reminder that our stories, our successes, and our struggles are all interconnected.
We're all part of this grand human narrative.
We're all part of this larger human tapestry.
Exactly. And we have a responsibility to create a world where everyone's story can be told and celebrated.
Where everyone has a voice.
That's a powerful message to end on.
It is, and we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers.
It's a book that's full of surprises.
It challenges our assumptions about success.
It makes you question everything you thought you knew.
Encourages us to embrace our cultural heritage.
And to appreciate the richness of human diversity.
And inspires us to create a more equitable world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
It's a call to action. in a way.
It is. It's a reminder that we can all make a difference.
Even in small ways.
So thanks for joining us on this intellectual adventure.
It's been a great discussion.
It has. And be sure to tune in next time for another fascinating deep dive into a new topic.